Looking forward to the Epsom Derby, which is coming up in about a week's time. It's the weekend after next, actually. And I'm looking forward to it with particular interest this year because of the horse City of Troy and Aidan O'Brien. Aidan O'Brien has placed a huge amount of store on City of Troy, and since he won the Dewhurst Stakes last year as a 2-year-old and confirmed that he was the best 2-year-old in Europe, the hype machine with Coolmore, and building this horse up to be a monster, to be a Frankel, to be a Nijinsky, has been incredible. And so it was with a significant amount of interest that I watched the 2000 Guineas, and he flopped very, very badly in that race. Now, O'Brien has had explanations as to why he flopped in that race since then. He said the horse jumped in the starting stalls, his heart rate reached a certain level, never calmed down, and he couldn't possibly have done his best or produced his best. O'Brien also said that he was virtually in awe of the horse during the winter and maybe went too easy on him, didn't work him hard enough and so on. But O'Brien seems to have doubled down on City of Troy and how good he is and his reputation since that. And that's why I'm particularly interested in the Derby, because if City of Troy wins the Derby, well then O'Brien's reputation as a genius, and he has a rightful, understandable, well-earned reputation as a genius, that reputation will be enhanced. But if City of Troy doesn't win the Epsom Derby, if City of Troy blots his copybook and basically runs a stinker or fails to win the Epsom Derby, then O'Brien has placed a lot of store, a lot of his well-earned reputation on this horse. Now, there is a suggestion or a suspicion, or some critics would say, that the hype around City of Troy is simply hype. In other words, the Coolmore stud operation, the combine as it were, with which Aidan O'Brien is clearly associated, that combine, that stud empire, needs a replacement for Galileo, and they have justified as a justified replacement for Galileo, and City of Troy is a son of Justified. So it's not a question of O'Brien going to bat for this horse, and he's going to bat for the horse in isolation or anything of that nature. There's a huge amount from stud values perspective riding on City of Troy. And so bottom line is, if you are prepared to call a spade, Aidan O'Brien has a huge amount of reputation riding on this horse in the Epsom Derby, and O'Brien has an excellent, well-earned reputation. But is this horse the object of, or the subject of, a hype operation to have Justified as the worthy replacement for Galileo, or is he the real deal? Is City of Troy the next Frankel or the next Nijinsky? That remains to be seen, and that's why I am watching this Epsom Derby with significant interest. As I say, O'Brien has a fantastic reputation. He has a well-earned reputation for being a genius. But I hope, and I've seen, quite frankly, over the last few years, a lot of horses being hyped up and being significantly lauded and hyped in advance, and they haven't delivered. Now, Auguste Rodin on the other hand, is a horse who flopped into 2,000 guineas, and O'Brien, in an act of genius, turned him around and won the Epsom Derby with him. So it remains to be seen whether he does it with City of Troy or not. But the excuses that he had for City of Troy after his flop into 2,000 guineas, the excuse that he took it too easy with him during over the winter time, that he was in awe of the horse, that he didn't work him enough or whatever, and the excuse that he gave about the horse getting worked up in the stalls and his heart rate reaching a certain level or not calming down, and therefore he basically blew up and blew out. That explanation sounds plausible enough, but to be honest with you, the proof of it will be seen the next day, because let's face it, if City of Troy flops in the Epsom Derby, well then people will have to look at Aidan O'Brien and say, you know, was that explanation realistic, was it rational, etc, etc. It remains to be seen. As I say, I'm a big fan of Aidan O'Brien. I think he's a genius, but I'm hoping that he'll restore his he'll confirm his reputation, his genius, with this horse City of Troy. And I'd like to see the horse winning as well, or at least performing really well and putting his best foot forward. If he gets beaten on the day, he gets beaten on the day. But I mean, according to the hype about this horse City of Troy, you know, it's only a question of how much he wins by. That was the hype anyway prior to the 2,000 guineas, and yet he never really got in a blow. So as I say, it will be fascinating to see what happens. So I'm looking forward to that race. Hope you find the video interesting, and I know it's not the type of video I normally do, but I have an interest in horse racing going back to my student days in UCD. I backed El Gran Senor, and I backed Golden Fleece to win classics, and they helped me get through college, and I backed Brazil to win the World Cup when they calved. But I've been interested in racing for a long time. Haven't gone racing for a long time, but I watch it on the TV, and especially the likes of the classics and so on, and I have huge admiration for the likes of Aidan O'Brien, Willie Mullins, people like that, who seem to have a real innate natural talent with horses, and an ability to see horses as having distinct personalities and so on. These guys are, you know, cutting a new cloth or cutting a new mould in terms of racehorse training and understanding the horse and so on. But anyway, that's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward, as I say, to the Epsom Derby. Making this video down the Canal Bank in Enfield here now at lunchtime. It is 22nd or 23rd of May, I think. Very pleasant. Well, it's a bit dull today actually, but it's a lovely walk down here. It's a lovely spot down here, down the Canal Bank in Enfield, and an awful lot of the work that's down here that has transformed this whole area down through the years is down to one man in Enfield, and he used to cut my hair when I was a young lad, when I had hair, and that is Brian Donoghue. So shout out to Brian Donoghue for all the great work he's done here along the Canal Bank and the various projects he's done through the years. Hope you find the video useful.